Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're so glad to welcome you as part of our community tonight. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and distributed live stream. By entering this virtual meeting room, you give your consent to be recorded and distributed by Vienna Live with Simeon Morrow. If you wish to not be recorded, please go to the LinkedIn Live video feed, the link to which I've just placed in the chat room. Tonight, our featured guest is composer and narrator David Haney, whose new Ravello Records album, The Waters of Non-Existence, will be the subject of tonight's conversation.
At the end of time, the ultimate elements melt into the undifferentiated fluids out of which they once arose. The streets and the trees and the houses dissolve. At the end of time, the mounting East River tide becomes a limitless sheet of water.
Welcome, David.
Welcome. Good morning, or good evening, I should say. Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
David, tell us a little bit about where you come from, how your musical tastes were formed, and the moment you decided to become a professional composer and narrator.
Okay, wow, that's a big question. I'm from Calgary, Alberta. I was born in Fresno, California, but grew up in Calgary. My interest peaked in all of this at age 10. I have to tell you that was sort of a high watermark for me. I was studying piano. I was working on a lot of stuff. I don't know why I was so busy at age 10, but I did a little newspaper that covered current events that I shared with my stuffed animals. All right, and I did this for quite a while. I wrote poetry and decided that this is what I would like to do with my life. And then puberty set in and the rest of it, and probably in my early 20s, I was studying jazz piano privately with a great pianist and music theory at a university. And we got to the point in music theory where you studied composition. And the light just went off. I thought, I love this. I started writing and taking my compositions to my teacher, and he said, you're going to have to go to someone else. He says, the problem is I like everything you're doing. You need to find somebody that can be critical. So I did a little search and was introduced to composer Tomas Svoboda. I believe one of the greatest of this, this century's composers, last century's composers. And I spent 6 years studying with him privately in his living room. And that's what got me into this. Really, it was that moment at university that I thought, you know what, this is, when you compose, you're not competing with anyone out there but yourself. And there's something wonderful about that. We live in a competitive world. And to me, that really, that seemed like a good direction to go.
So you started with the jazz piano, and then you kind of had this epiphany when you were in university that you can do music just as it was when you were 10. Is that right? When you had this
Yeah,
open, the sky's the limit mentality?
yeah, basically. And went. I joined several composers groups and kind of went the conventional route for a while with compositions being performed. And at one point, I decided to go the improvised route. I had a little background and interest in jazz, and I thought, what if I took my compositional knowledge, whatever that is, and applied it on stage? They call that a lot of different things. Some people call it instant composing. Some people call it jamming, but it's really not. It's more of you're making up stuff in the moment. That's what I've done. It's been about 25, 30 years of that now, and I've kind of got back into writing more over the last 8 or 9 years. But I found all the skills you learn as a composer fit very well with improvisation and performance.
We'll
Yeah.
get into all that in one moment. Let's have a listen to our next track. This is You Have 12 Years.
Appendices. Introduction.
You have 12 years,
How much?
378 million seconds,
How much is that?
6 million minutes,
How much?
105,000 hours,
How much is that?
4,300 days,
How much?
626 weeks,
How much is that?
144 months. You have 12 years.
Okay, thanks.
So, David, tell us now about how you got from being a composer and then a stage performer, improviser, to this, The Waters of Non-Existence. What is this album all about?
This is a retelling of three ancient stories that were translated in a book called Myths and Symbolism in Indian Art and Civilization. Myths and Symbols in Indian Art and Civilization. It's a stunning book, and it has to do with the idea that in India, on the buildings are tremendous stories. Never mind what's been written down, but this has been encoded.
Trumpet play. In a city, long
So the idea was
ago.
this was basically a book that my mother had given me. She was an anthropologist. So I had this a long time, and I decided to try to bring these stories to life. There were three stories in particular that really stood out to me. And I thought, I'm going to do a modern take. I'm going to place the stories in New York in modern times and just open it up so that the listener can not only experience these they're ancient things that we all still go through. So I wanted to just sort of bring it up to modern times.
And we just listened to, You Have 12 Years. What exactly was going on there? It seemed to be some kind of consumer retail sale.
Oh yes, it's from the second story, and it has to do with one of the characters. It goes off to get somebody a glass of water and comes back, and 12 years has passed. And so, it's just a reflection on it. Well, how long is 12 years? So it's an addendum to the story.
And what are we about to listen to? We're listening to The Gift next. What should we listen for?
Okay, this is a story about somebody, a trumpet player in New York, that has really been struggling, and the gods take favor on him, and they offer a gift to him, and he wants to know the secret of Vishnu's Maya, the secret of life, of what makes you tick. So this is about being offered this gift.
Okay, let's have a listen. Here it is, The Gift.
Long, long ago, back in the 50s, in a city called New York, there lived a great trumpet player, Narada by name. Through prolonged austerities continuous practice, he won favor with the god of all trumpet players. This deity appeared in front of his apartment over on 174th Street in Jamaica, Queens, one hot summer day, and granted him the fulfillment of a wish. Show me the magic power of your mind. I will. Come with me. And in the form of a street person, and from the pleasant shadow by the stoop, the street god directed and conducted Narada across the barren streets up towards Utopia Playground over on 73rd. It was the hot part of the day, which blazed like metal under the merciless glow of the scorching sun. The two were soon very thirsty. At some distance, across Utopia Parkway, in the glaring light, they perceived the corrugated walls and the open door of an establishment. The street god asked, "Will you go and fetch some water for me?" "Certainly, O street god," replied the saint. And he made off across the hot, barren boulevard.
Wow. Okay, so tell us, we had a lot of instruments going on there. I think your voice doing the narration.
Yes.
How did you choose the musicians on this album? What do you look for in a musician, and what do you look for in a storyteller in general?
Okay. As far as what I look for with musicians, it's very important to me to have sympathetic characters, people that I resonate with. I've noticed over the years, I just gravitate towards people like myself, people that have a similar nature, um, because so much of what I do is improvised. I Maybe it's true for written stuff too, but I really depend on the musicians to be on the same page, basically at all times, and um, so to me, finding people that I work well with is essential, and I've been very lucky. The people, Cheryl Pyle, played flute on that, and Kirk Kanufke was cornet, and these are people I've worked with a bunch. Um, and I basically asked them to provide the tracks at their house. They both of them recorded their parts in New York, so it was kind of a collaborative event.
Wow. And I mean, I have had guests on the show, for instance, who've been pop musicians. They really had trouble working with classical musicians, especially orchestra musicians. They said these people, are really not, they're not on the wavelength. They don't seem to be really happy to be there. They're just playing a gig. Have you had those
Yeah.
kind of experiences with other musicians or?
No, no, I haven't. I have to admit that I've searched out classical musicians, and um, it's everybody has their own personality, regardless of what style they play. And while classical artists might be focused on scores and developing the art of bringing a score to life, it's a similar endeavor. We're all trying to animate ideas. We're trying to take an idea and bring it to life. So I found classical musicians are fantastic for this because it's part of your training to look at a page and not just see the notes, but to see what is that. Um, Now, some jazz artists can only play jazz. They can only play a form. Some classical musicians maybe are confined to scores and stuff, but you know, it's a big world out there. I one of the one of my favorite collaborators was the principal bassist for the Mendoza Argentina Symphony, and he did that for 30, 40 years. And um, I found it very inspiring to work with him. Gave me his techniques and his ideas, gave me a lot of ideas.
And so again, it was that what inspired you about this double bassist? He knew how to take ideas and bring them to life. Is that it?
Exactly. And he, he had a great interest in improvisation, but he had a thorough understanding of his instrument and what it could do. Um, and he was able to combine, he's able to combine Argentinian folk ideas with classical elements, and it brings more to the table.
Tell us, what are we about to hear now? This is The Storm.
Okay, this is the storm. Narada went across the street to get Vishnu a glass of water, and he fell in love with this girl, married her, and 12 years went by, and then there's one night there's a terrible storm. So we're being brought up to date. He still hasn't got his water, delivered the water. He's in this state where he thinks he's just having this other life with his family, and a storm is coming.
Oh, somebody must be very thirsty. Let's
Yes.
have a listen. This is The Storm.
The 12th year, the hurricane season was extraordinarily violent. Rivers swelled and torrents poured through the neighborhoods. The street was inundated by a flood. In the night, the corrugated walls, the tables, and the chairs were all carried away, and everybody fled. With one hand supporting his wife, with the other leading two of the children and bearing the smallest on his shoulder, Narada set forth hastily. Forging ahead through the pitch darkness and lashed by the rain, he waded through slippery mud, staggering through swirling water. The burden was more than he could manage, with the current heavily dragging at his legs. Once he stumbled, the child slipped from his shoulders and disappeared into the roaring night. With a desperate cry, Narada let go of the older children to catch up the smallest. But it was too late. Meanwhile, the flood swiftly carried off the other two. And even before he could realize the disaster, ripped from his side, his wife swept his own feet from under him and flung him headlong into the torrent like a log.
Wow. So that's a perfect piece to bring us to the philosophical conversation. Quote, words and music are very powerful together. Is it possible to improve your memory of a text by including music? And music is often in the background in narrated works. There is something about the power of music and words that can sweep us away. In a moment of listening, it's my hope that this music is more of an equal partner, wedded to the text, and that marriage isn't one of convenience, but rather a union based on inspiration. My 10-year residency as a storyteller at the Public Theater in New York City taught me a lot, not the least of which was how much a story can affect an individual, whether having conjured up an old memory or inspired a new thought. I could tell you stories about the people who came up to me after my performance performance who were clearly affected by the stories and music, end quote. David, we are taught that there is a tension in Western music, one between Wagner and the idea of programmatic music on the one hand, where you have a story being accompanied by music, and Brahms and absolute music on the other hand, where you just have music and they don't think any story can be told through music. It's just music. How do you explain that to people? And by the way, do you think that is all baloney?
I had to look that up to even think about it. I wouldn't go so far as to say it's baloney, um, but it is. I prefer to look at it this way. Um, I think it was Richard Feynman that described light. The way it travels is it sends out photons in every direction possible, and everything is canceled out except for what goes through directly, the most direct line. So we only see that. We don't see everything else that's canceled out. That's music to me. Music exists already. Every possibility in music already exists. It's all out there. And we pull it in. We create it. We take elements and um, we make that our own. But I don't think that music can be contained or defined or even understood. It's, everything in our universe is changing. Music is not changing. Music is something that you put it on a piece of paper and it's there. As long as there's record of it, it's there forever. If you create a song, it's there forever. It never changes. We change. Our feelings about the music, our understanding of the music changes, but it doesn't. So, however we want to describe its purpose, what we can do with it, that's just our attempts to grasp something that is very powerful. It's we don't understand why it affects us to this degree. I don't. I'm always stunned at how deeply music affects people.
But
It doesn't matter what kind of music.
But with the
Yeah,
narration, you clearly find it's an added value that it makes more of an effect. Is that true?
yeah, definitely. It's music stimulates your mind, and so if your mind can get stimulated while something else is going on, in African tribal history, when history is taught from the one person in the village to the next person, there's a lot of different ways to impart knowledge. And um, technically, music would be one of those ways. There's a lot of ways. Um, our our minds are we remember things through trauma. We remember things. I mean, that's a weird thing to say, but that's actually used in teaching. It's uh, trauma can induce such a state that whatever story you add to that, you'll never forget it. Okay, um, and that we don't have to go to that stage to remember stuff. We can create a sound, a musical sound that it's helpful. It's helpful. It's we don't listen. I think we need to realize that music is not something just to be listened to. That it's a fabric. It's like putting a coat on. You don't have to look at your coat all the time. Um, so I think, yeah, I think whatever you do, adding music is very interesting.
Let's have a listen to our final selection from The Waters of Non-Existence. This is A Letter to the Mayor.
A letter to the mayor. I have just one question for you. How old are you? Really? Not to be rude. My dear king of the city, or Indra. The reason that I ask is this. The life and kinship of an Indra endures 71 eons. And when 28 Indras have expired, one day and night of Brahma has elapsed. But the existence of one Brahma, measured in such Brahma days and nights, is only 108 years. So, how old are you? Really? Not to be rude. Brahma follows Brahma. One sinks, the next rises. The endless series cannot be told. There is no end to the number of those Brahmas, to say nothing of the Indras.
So, final question. What do
Yes.
you wish all of us who listen to this album, who get acquainted with this powerful message of yours?
Um, I, enlightenment, not lifetime enlightenment, but just you know, to hear something unexpected, I think is really delightful, and that's what I like about music. So that's one of my goals is to create something that you don't really expect, that you now you want it. You didn't know you wanted it. Um, and it's hard to do that. You have to create it from the right space. I just wanted to mention quickly that all my material was recorded, most of it at a place called the Sound Shack with Dave Stores, and it's a room filled with instruments, and it's very conducive to making music. The room itself is like an instrument, and so I kind of hope to share that there's sort of a contagious, wonderful element to being in the presence of music.
Let's see how we can get the album. It's easy enough at ravellorecords.com. So when you get to ravellorecords.com, you can just write in David Haney and it should come right up. There he is, and there's his album, The Waters of Non-Existence. You can stream it, watch it on YouTube, get all the information, the whole story. It's right there, Ravello Records. And if you'd like to stay in touch with David, please go to cadencejazzworld.com and people can reach out to you at this website, David.
Yep, yep.
Perfect. So feel free to reach out to David with your questions or your comments, cadencejazzworld.com. Thank you so very much to David Haney.
Well, thank you so much, Simeon. I've really enjoyed it.
Before we go, I'd like to bring your attention to simeonmoro.com, where you can find all information about upcoming shows. And while you're at it, please do click on the Become a Sponsor for $5 a month, where for $5 a month, you will receive One Vienna Live Celebrates 5 Years mug. For $10 a month, you will receive One Vienna Live Celebrates 5 Years mug and One Vienna Live City Tote Bag. There's also the option under one-time payment custom to purchase a sponsorship with no minimum payment. All sponsorships allow that Vienna Live to continue to operate as a free classical music public service. And coming up next Wednesday, we have Eva Cortez La Malinque, On her ninth album, La Malinque, jazz vocalist, composer, and songwriter Eva Cortez sings back loudly, rhythmically, and without apology. The album is a record born from urgency, from ICE raids and systemic racism to abuse of power and erased histories. She calls it protest meets rhythm. Music as vindication, memory, and collective dance floor. So that's next Wednesday, Eva Cortez La Malinque, and all information is available at simeonmoro.com. Once again, thank you so very much to David Haney. Thank you to Vienna Live's corporate and individual sponsors. Your ongoing support allows Vienna Live to continue to operate as a free classical music public service. Thanks to my cousin Mike, a marketer from Layer App. If you're an architect or an engineer, they have a really cool tool you should check out. Most of all, of course, thanks to you, our participants, who make it all worthwhile. From Washington, D.C. and Portland, Oregon, goodbye, and see you next Wednesday.
Thank you. Bye bye.